Alrighty, welcome back to the J Center podcast. Owen Hill joined as always by Jesse Burl. And Jesse, I'm starting to recognize my baseball team a little bit.
Yeah, who are these guys? They're a little scrappy bunch. They're putting together rallies. They're putting balls in play. They're making stuff happen. It's almost like this is the Toronto Blue Jays team we fell in love with, and they're finally coming back here.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ready to call the season back on track. It's far from that, but I think it's just a little bit encouraging post deadline to see that they've kind of got a little bit of a resurgence of energy. They're playing harder. You can just kind of like tell like the plate appearances there's just a different level of focus, and there's a different level of focus in the field. The new guys seem to be fitting in well, even if like long term, I don't really necessarily see a whole lot of ceiling on Josh Smith or Brett Bateman. Like these guys are contributing to fun baseball. And José Soriano looked super, super intriguing, even if it wasn't as sexy as we kind of all imagined in his first start as a Blue Jay. And I think it's just finally just a little bit exciting. And all we asked last time we talked was for this team to be fun down the stretch. And they played a fun series in Philadelphia.
Yeah, very fun series in Philly indeed. You can tell this team hasn't given up, and I want to give them credit here. Maybe it's the new guys coming in that have given this team a little bit of life, but they're showing that fight. They're still trying hard. Their relievers are in these high-stress situations and are able to get out of it. They're able to do the right things, get a sac fly when they need them. It's credit to John Schneider and the staff, and credit to the players here who are still fighting, no matter how small their playoff odds may be and where they are in the standings. They are still doing what they can to try to put everything on the forefront, and I respect that.
Yeah, man, they played a ton of extra innings games, and it felt like games the 2025 Blue Jays were in all the time, where it's just like you have no business winning this baseball game, yet you are in it. And they did that in Chicago, and yeah, that one didn't work out well for them. They were 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position, but then you were kind of down and out against the Phillies in the first two games, and the last game you're down 5-0, and you still battle and you find a way to make it close against a team that, let's be honest, is just much better than you and has much higher aspirations than you this season. And you made them real baseball games, and anything can happen over a 3-game set. Like I don't think this definitely does not eliminate anything else that we've seen so far this season. And I don't even know if it is really an indicator of anything else we'll see down the stretch, but it was at least just slightly encouraging, right?
Yeah, I agree. You're seeing signs of life from players that you definitely wanted to see some things from. Like Andrés Giménez was not a zero in this series. Hands up if you had Nathan Lucas being the war leader for both teams on this series. That was great to see from the Blue Jays, making things happen all over the field. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. finally hit a home run this series, and we haven't even touched on the pitching that went on in this series. It was some very good stuff all around from the Toronto Blue Jays. And when they play like this, Owen, you can see the blueprint for how this season was supposed to go, for the way this team was supposed to win, right? Get through, get in some offense, do what you can do, get enough pitching, and come out on top at the end of some close games. And at least for this series in Philadelphia, first time the Jays have won here since 2018, I believe it was. It was very good to see from the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, so both of us have kind of been like, yes, we're encouraged, but we still have a lot to see for us to be actually willing to drop takes or anything like that. I'm going to kind of say like, screw that, man. Like, let's drop a couple takes here. I want to go through the American League right now, the entire American League, all 14 teams that aren't the Blue Jays. And I want to ask you, is this team better than the Blue Jays? All right. Like, I think just the state of the American League is so bad right now. Like, the third and final wildcard spot is held by the Texas Rangers, a team with a negative 33 run differential that is 59-59 on the season. Just objectively, just not really that great of a baseball team. And I want to make the case that, man, maybe we should just believe a little bit down the stretch.
Okay.
All right.
So I can listen to that argument. Let's go.
It'll be fun. We don't have to spend a lot of time on really any of these teams, but I just want to kind of make the case that maybe we should not have counted these Blue Jays out so early. And maybe they're going to lose the next series and this segment will die on the vine, right? But it could be a little bit fun. It would be fun to just be back in on the Jays just for a little bit.
Sure.
Alrighty, so the Los Angeles Angels, 45-73, negative 91 run differential. They're in last place in the American League. Jay's better than them?
I don't want to be mean, Owen, but my men's league team that got eliminated in the quarterfinals might be better than the Angels. So, yes, go on.
Yeah, that one's pretty easy. The Athletics, 47-71. Holy, their run differential, negative 164. Jay's better than them?
Yeah, fully healthy might be a different story, but the A's are not there right now, so I say the Jays are better than them, yes.
All right, this is the last team in the American League that the Jays actually have a better record than. So take this for what you will. The Kansas City Royals are 49-70, -110 run differential. Jays better than them.
Yeah, the Royals are in a bad place right now. I would put the Blue Jays ahead of them too.
All right, and then we get to like the actual meat of the American League where these conversations can get a little bit interesting. The Toronto Blue Jays are next up there. They are 3.5 games back of that final wild card spot. They're 56-63. The run differential is -59, so they have kind of earned that that pretty ugly record that they have. And then tied with them, actually, with the exact same record, is the Seattle Mariners, the team the Jays played in the American League Championship Series just last season. Are the Jays better than the Seattle Mariners, Jesse?
On paper, I still want to say the Seattle Mariners are a better team. They have great starting pitching. They're supposed to have the bats, but Cal Raleigh is doing his best Vladimir Guerrero Jr. impression, and Josh Naylor has not been doing it either. I still would probably take the Mariners over the long run to be a better team than this current state of the Toronto Blue Jays, but we're in the right ballpark, Owen.
Yeah, I think the fact that this is just a genuine conversation. You mentioned the Seattle Mariners starting pitching. If there's a starting rotation in the American League that is as good or better than the Mariners, is it not the Blue Jays with Dylan Cease and José Soriano and the ceiling of Trey Savage right there?
Yeah, the back end is way better. Shane Bieber, Max Scherzer, and the Blue Jays end leave us more to be desired, where Seattle has that covered. But at the top end, yes, I can agree with that.
Yeah, and this is, I guess, a conversation about the rest of the regular season, so that does matter. But if you get into a wild card series against those Mariners some way, somehow, very, very unlikely considering how the actual standings play out right now. But I would argue that I would like the Blue Jays in those games.
Yeah, and that was kind of the saving grace we had this whole time with Dylan Cease being the front runner for the Cy Young Award right now. You always thought if the Blue Jays can just find a way to get in there, you like their chances in a wild game. Playoff experience under our belt, the scrappy attitude that we've seen this series can get you far in the playoffs. Hell, we've just seen it last year. We just got to get there first, Owen.
And the other thing is with this kind of conversation is, who do you like better to be kind of figure it out down the stretch, Cal Raleigh or Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? And to be honest, I have a hard time betting against Vladdy. As rough as it has been this season, there were signs of taking steps forward after a few days off in Philadelphia. He did hit a homer, had a tough double off Jesus Luzardo in the final game of the series. Man, there are signs of things kind of improving, right?
Yeah, and while we're on Vlad, I'll mention the stat I had here. I was actually most encouraged by his single he hit after he hit the home run off Aaron Nola. Bat speed of 83.4 off the bat. I was going through his game logs, and I tried to find one where he had a faster bat speed on contact. It had been a while, which, if anything, shows he might be getting a little bit healthier from that hamstring injury he dealt in, which is a positive sign from Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, man. Okay, so I'm we can call it a coin flip against Jays Mariners,
sure,
but is what it is. The next team up, Baltimore Orioles. The Jays are a game and a half back of them. Orioles are 57-61, -33 run differential. They sold at the deadline. I think the Jays are better than the Orioles.
Yes, that was the one team that's currently ahead of us in the standings that I could say quite confidently I believe the Blue Jays are better than.
That's the one team. Interesting, because I'm counting at least 3 teams right now, and there are American League Central teams that I'm going to argue the Jays are better than.
All right,
because the next team up is the Cleveland Guardians, 58-61, -27 run differential. Yes, this team can pitch, but they are, I believe, last I looked, the one team that had a worse offense than the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's their downside here. Cleveland has this devil magic, kind of like what the Cardinals had in the mid 2000s, which always sticks in my head a little bit. And the fact they can just pitch so well leads into that. I could see the case for making it the Blue Jays recipe for wins are these low scoring games where you score 3 to 5 runs and you get by. That matches up well with a series with the Guardians. Maybe on a 1-1 against that team, the Blue Jays would come out on top. But if you're taking the grind of a full 162, I might still put Cleveland ahead of Toronto.
Okay. And that's fine. They are ahead of the Blue Jays for a reason. And I can't really argue. But again, I think the upside on the Blue Jays on paper, I think there are just so many more guys, especially in the lineup, that I trust to actually be good down this stretch. Include George Springer in that conversation, who has shown improvements, but then is kind of hurt again. So, I guess we'll see there. Alejandro Kirk has been a lot better recently. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., if you can get him right. The Guardians just don't have guys that have that kind of upside in their lineup.
Well, Jose Ramirez, when like the Blue Jays
Yes.
don't have their Jose Ramirez and whatnot, and Bazana's interesting as a rookie. I like the Joe Adell pickup for them, but yeah, these are not the most intense guys on the roster for what it's worth.
No, exactly. And I pulled it up. The Guardians have scored the 28 most runs in baseball.
Yeah.
29 is the Jays. And then Seattle, the Mariners are 30. So the teams that we're talking about are right in this mix. All right, next up, the Minnesota Twins. There's no way you actually think the Minnesota Twins are better than the Jays, do you?
I kind of like the Minnesota Twins a little bit. I like, some pieces that they have there on that team. When Buxton's healthy and full go, I think they are probably better than the Toronto Blue Jays. Cody Clemens and Trevor Larnach have been having some good series lately, but they are flawed. They are definitely flawed, but so are our Toronto Blue Jays. So I'd say they are pretty even on this list of teams that the Blue Jays and Minnesota would be going head to head with. I don't think we play the Twins again yet this season, do we? Because that would be.
I believe we already played them, but I don't know. It feels like just one of these American League Central teams that like they get a lot of games in the Central, right? And it doesn't mean as much as it used to, but they get to kind of play the Guardians and they get to play the Royals and they get to play the Tigers, and even like the White Sox have been better this season, but like they're not like a powerhouse. Like none of these teams are really good teams, and they play each other a lot. And I think that as a result of that, their records all kind of look just a little bit better than they normally would.
Yeah, that's true. Whereas the Blue Jays, even when they're playing their quote unquote weak opponents in the division, was the Red Sox back when the Red Sox were terrible, and it's Baltimore right now. And it's like the Blue Jays don't have as many against those quote unquote weaker teams, which I get, which has been a problem for the Blue Jays for decades now. But yes, I see the point you are trying to make here. I would put the Blue Jays definitely in that tier, though. I don't know if I've even put them at the top, but that's the group of teams in the American League that the Blue Jays are going to have to show that they can be better at the rest of the year here.
Yeah, man. Like and I know this isn't the conversation, but if you end up against the Twins in a wild card series, 3 games, first to 2 wins, come on, Taj Bradley right now is listed as their number 1 starter on roster resource. I know that's without Joe Ryan, who's on the injured list, right? So is what it is, but you're going to be favored in all 3 starting pitching matchups. Like you just have way more talent on your roster.
I agree, particularly on the pitching staff with like their best relievers now, Jeff Hoffman. So do that with what you will.
Yeah. Exactly. Like and he was our 3rd best reliever, right?
Give or take. Yes.
So I still think we have 2 better relievers than him. Anyways, speaking of pitching staffs that are have gotten much weaker, the Detroit Tigers are the last American League team that is not in a playoff position currently. They have a plus 87 run differential, but they're 2 games under 500. And they just traded the best pitcher in, I was going to say baseball, but he was the best pitcher in the American League for sure, in Tarik Skubal. They also traded Casey Mize. I don't think this Tigers team is really good, Jesse. Do you?
Yes. However, haven't they just won 7 in a row? Or am I making
They did get hot. They did get hot.
Yeah. So I'll take the team that's hot right now over the Toronto Blue Jays. But yes, on paper, the Blue Jays should be a better team than they are. It's just going to come down to the offense and whatnot.
But are the Jays not hot, though? The Jays have won 8 of 13.
Yeah, sure. And you could argue, depending on that one game in Chicago, you could say it's 4 series in a row, but it doesn't feel like they've been the team that can go on this big streak like the Tigers have gone right now. Maybe it's coming, Owen, and maybe this is the sign of good play that leads up to that big win streak. But I got to see it first before I move the Blue Jays ahead of all these teams.
But the Tigers just bowed out of the race. They traded the best pitcher in baseball.
True.
And they traded another really good one.
And they definitely got weaker. I'm not saying that they didn't here. But right now, with the way things have been going, they're playing good ball. Sure, their opponents might have been weak. I'm not exactly locked into the Tigers right now as I should be. But I still like the Blue Jays are the 30th in run scoring in baseball, Owen. Like, I understand they've had some games this series where they put up 6-7 runs and whatnot, but I'm still not buying it. I still need to see more before I believe. And I hate to be that downer on this team after, a big series win, but I'm not there yet.
You suck. The Tigers themselves looked at their team and they were like, we are not good enough. If they thought they were good enough to get into the playoffs with Tarik Skubal, they would have done it. They would have taken one more chance because the way he can change a playoff series, he pretty much is like an automatic win in a wild card series. It's pretty much an automatic 2 wins in a division series and an automatic 2 more in a championship series or World Series, right? Like, if you can have the opportunity to throw him in the playoffs, he completely just changes a series for you. We saw him do it so many times for the Tigers. and it just almost didn't work out. They really, really pushed that Mariners team in 2025. Like the Jays were super close to playing the Tigers instead of the Mariners. I think a lot of people kind of don't recognize that, just how close it was. And the Tigers themselves looked at it and were like, we don't even want to take this chance. We can't lose him for nothing because we're not good enough to get in. And I think that tells me all I need to know about that team.
Yeah, two things can be true at the same time. They can look at their roster and decide, yes, the right thing for the long term of the franchise is to move Tarek Skubal, and they could also still be playing very good baseball at the current moment without him. Those things can both be true.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely true. But I think it's less sustainable now because there's no Skubal, obviously.
Yep, I would take that bet as well.
Alrighty, last but not least, the Texas Rangers are in a playoff spot at 59-59, negative 33 run differential. They're 4-6 over their last 10. Like, this team's not fun, Jesse. Like, I think the Jays, you could argue, I'm not saying the Jays are like, and I don't want this to be like, I think the Jays are the third wildcard team in the American League. I don't think that. I think the Jays likely still will not make the playoffs. I think a lot of these teams are going to finish ahead of the Jays. I'm just arguing that as currently constructed, the Jays are as good, if not better, than some of these teams.
Sure. And I can see the case for that argument right now. But like at the end of the day, I hate to be a downer. It doesn't really matter because it doesn't matter what the rest of these teams in the American League are doing. The Blue Jays have to play at like a 600-ish winning percentage to get in there. Now we've seen signs of it over the last 4 series or so, and that's going to need to continue. But they have to play not only up to that rate, they need to be, 3 games better than the Orioles, 3 games better than the Tigers, like the Twins and all these other teams as well. So yes, looking that way on paper is a good start, right? But you got to put it into action here. And there's the path. The playoff odds have increased to about 6.3%, which is good. We'd rather see those playoff odds go in that direction. I'm just still not ready to buy in yet. I still need to see a little bit more from this team.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I just wanted to have a little bit of fun with that conversation.
Yep.
I think I know that it's still an uphill climb. I know that the Jays have dug themselves a deep hole, and I know they sold at the deadline. At the same time, I think there's just so many areas where I can actually see how they improve, and it is the same way they improved from 2024 through 2025 is It was internal improvements. It was the guys already on the roster that got better. It was George Springer getting back to being George Springer. It was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. like having a career year, maybe not a career year in 2025, but a great year in 2025. It was Alejandro Kirk getting back from a below average hitter to a well above average hitter, right? It was Bo Bichette getting back to being Bo Bichette after a really, really bad 2024, right? So it's the internal improvements that I'm starting to see. I'm starting to see Andrés Giménez put up really frisky at-bats down late in games, and he's being clutch again. And it's Nathan Lukes having 15 pitch at-bats and like swinging at everything outside of the strike zone, but coming up with a huge hit in a time when you really need it. It's the Jays being down 5-0 and then coming back to tie that game and being so close, having so many opportunities to win it in extras and just not being able to get the big hit. And even though they didn't get that big hit in the final game of the series to complete the sweep, they showed me just enough to like just believe a little bit and have fun with the game. And that's all I want.
Yes, and we're starting to see things like that too. The guys in the bullpen are putting together clutch performances. Braden Fisher had 2 innings there, stranded a ghost runner. Louis Varland, he gave up a zombie runner, but did what Louis Varland's been doing all season. There are some things going on here that should give you hope and some optimism that the Blue Jays can play better down the stretch and definitely into 2027, which is good to see. Oh, and if you believe in the Toronto Blue Jays and you think there is a real chance, they just beat a very good baseball team 2 out of 3. The Jays' next series are against Boston, the Yankees, Tampa, and the Yankees again. Go out and dominate in those 4 series. Then we can have a conversation and be like, yeah, okay, this team is for real. It's a good sign, but you gotta keep going on the gas. Your season, it's like the 3rd time this season, I swear we said that, but it's like it comes down to this. Put your foot on the gas. Let's go. Let's play against good teams that are all ahead of you in the standings and prove that you belong there.
Yeah, so you mentioned this Boston, New York, Tampa, and then New York again. It's a tough kind of finish to August. But then you get the Kansas City Royals, who we just mentioned how horrendous they are. And then the team that's directly in front of you, or I guess tied with you, the Seattle Mariners. Go prove that you are better than them. The Cleveland Guardians are up next. That's a team that's ahead of you. If you sweep them in that series, all of a sudden you flip the script on them. Guess who you get right after that? The Kansas City Royals and the Athletics. Again, 2 horrendous teams. Like, this schedule gets super light. Then another team ahead of you, Baltimore. Another team ahead of you, Detroit. Another team ahead of you, Texas. Like, this is in order. I'm not making this up right here. Like, you are having opportunities against all these teams that you need to beat. If you can keep your head above water, you don't have to go dominate Boston, New York, and Tampa. over these next 4 series. You don't have to do that. You have to kind of stay where you are, maybe make up a little bit of ground, and then really have a magical September. And you're right there, man. Like 3.5 games is nothing. And I know the conversation is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams you have to pass in the wild card standings to get into the playoffs, but you are right there.
Yeah, and we're seeing that from the players on the field. They believe that too. We saw it, proof of concept. They are trying hard. They are not giving up. They still believe they have a chance with it. And look, the schedule's there in September. Keep yourself afloat, and you give yourself a chance at that miracle run. Sure. And also all those teams you're playing in September too. Let's be honest. If the American League is going to be as close as it is, these tiebreaker situations might come in handy and relevant. So make sure you beat those teams that are up there. I think Texas has already won 4 on us. So that might be the one team that we can't pass there. But I think every other team we have a chance to get up there and move ahead of. So that's your blueprint. If you want to see the Toronto Blue Jays in October this year, that is how it's going to happen. And it'll start this week.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of a good spot for our first break, kind of set the stage for the rest of the season. I don't know if that segment you enjoyed it as much as I thought you would. I think your optimism on this fine Monday morning is maybe not where I expected it to be. Jesse, you're typically holding the optimistic candle while I'm kind of trying to drag you down, and we kind of flipped the script there. So I guess maybe a fun change for us. But let's take this first break. We'll do an honest breakdown of this Phillies series, and I'll try and talk you into a little bit more positivity because there are tons of positive things for us to look at here.
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right, back on the other side, Owen Hill joined by Jesse Berlin. I think, Jesse, we got to start in game 1 of this series. The Blue Jays hold on to win 5-4. It got hairy at the end. Tyler Rogers, maybe not my favorite in the 9th inning in a save situation, but they get the job done. It wasn't the cleanest win of all time, but it was, in fact, a win against a really good Phillies team. What'd you like? What didn't you like? This was José Soriano night. Just so much to go on here.
Yeah, for a 3-game series against the Phillies, the Blue Jays had so much content coming out of this. Kazuma Okamoto gave me a damn heart attack at first base when he tried to get that ball in the hole. Shout out to Tyler Rogers, who got over to first base and got the out. That was scary, but they were able to get the job done. Kudos to the Blue Jays for being able to do that. We'll touch on José Soriano here too, but Brett Bateman made his big league debut in this one, almost hit a home run in his first pitch against Zack Wheeler, which was fantastic. The Josh Smith game out of nowhere, home run, stolen base, 3 hits for him in this game. Andrés Giménez hit a home run off Zack Wheeler. Very, very good stuff. And the Blue Jays worked some very good at-bats against Wheeler. I think 5 walks was a season high for Zack Wheeler, and the Blue Jays were able to do enough to get through on paper and win this game. I liked what I saw. They took a 5-2 lead late, 5 runs. That's good for this Toronto Blue Jays team, and were able to put things together and ultimately get the win. That was a very good Blue Jays-y win in game 1 of this series.
I loved that it was kind of a super sustained attack against Wheeler. They got runs in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. They didn't score in the 5th, but they got back to Wheeler in the 6th. The final line for him, 4 earned runs on 7 hits, 5 walks, only 6 strikeouts. Gave up a homer to Andrés Giménez. I think super encouraging, and especially I'm not gonna say Zack Wheeler stop being a crybaby and put your foot on the rubber. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna go out and just tell him he's a whiny little baby and that he should, if he's going to yell at the other team about what they're complaining about, maybe he should not give them a reason to yell and complain about it, because he's clearly not on the fucking rubber. I think, anyways,
not even close.
I promise I'm not going to be mad about it 3 days later. I'm really not. I think he totally was fine, and he pitched really, really good, giving up 4 runs to the worst offense in baseball. Anyway, Zach, sorry about that. Definitely should have been an all-star, and you weren't a crybaby, not showing up to the all-star game when you were selected as a reserve and trying to prove your point there. Anyways, great guy, Zack Wheeler. Really, really big fan of you. Anyways, I think
I'll get mad at Zack Wheeler. I don't mind doing it. Be like, you can't pitch on the rubber on the mound against this Blue Jays team. Come on, man. If you don't like it, just pitch better. Anyways, he's had a great career. Shout out to Zack Wheeler. No big deal. But I will get mad at Zack Wheeler on your behalf here. Go on.
No, I really like to see that this guy who is supposedly so dominant, just the Blue Jays kind of packed their lunch and they got to work in the box and they worked him for those 5 walks. It's Brett Bateman seeing a fastball up in the zone and hitting it hard the other way for his first big league double. Super, super interesting stuff, man. And I think, like, as much as I want to just trash on Wheeler, I want to give props to Bateman there because he got a pitch to hit up in the zone and he crushed it. And did you see just how fast he got to second base? It was so sick.
I did. I really liked that. The energy and the adrenaline was very high. It actually made me go look at his sprint speed on the season through, albeit very small sample size through 3 games, because I thought, maybe is this guy one of those burners? It's 47th percentile right now. That number will be higher as it goes. So I want to see a little more. Maybe he just hasn't had enough opportunities to really sprint yet. But that caught my attention. I love the speed element, and seemed like John Schneider did too, because he moved him to the leadoff spot in games 2 and 3 of this series. So making a strong early debut has Brett Bateman.
Yeah, I don't know if I see him as a leadoff hitter down the stretch. And if I want to argue that this Blue Jays team is going to make a wild card, I don't know that it will be with Brett Bateman hitting leadoff. But I did like a lot of what I saw. I think having some team speed finally is pretty exciting. A guy that, like, you probably can think can steal a base, guy that is making all the plays in center field. He gets to all the balls, I think, which is important. And he is not a heart attack when he's underneath them, and he catches everything on the move. Kind of like you watch Jesus Sanchez play in the outfield and he catches everything drifting or it's last second adjustments. Bateman catches everything with his feet planted, right? He's not catching things on the run or having to adjust himself at the last second. And I think that is what is just not even exciting. That's how you should feel watching a big league center fielder, and his arm is way better than Varsho's, is it not? So
yes.
I think I really have kind of enjoyed the Brett Bateman experience so far. Kind of profiles as a perfect 9 hitter, if you ask me. Guy, I don't know if he's going to be an everyday player long term, but a guy I'm definitely happy with giving a little bit of run.
Yep, he's until he has really shown that he's dreadful. I think you keep putting him out there every day. It helps probably for his case that Miles Straw was 1 for 12 this series. So do with that what you will. But I think, you're going to be looking at that platoon. And if it's, the 9 spot in your batting order with center field until the Blue Jays can find something else, I think you're okay right now running this Bateman Straw platoon until you realize you can't anymore. Yeah,
totally agree. I think Brett Bateman is he's definitely interesting. I think that's kind of the way to put it. There are tools there. It's maybe not the sexiest tools because he's not going to hit you a 500-foot homer, but he so far has looked like he's going to give you a good plate appearance. He had that big RBI the other way, kind of has shown an ability to stick on different types of pitches. I saw him hit heater from Wheeler, and I forget who he hit the RBI single off, his first big league RBI, but was it Luzardo, right?
Yeah, and it was a single on a fastball inside part of the plate as well.
That was Luzardo? No, I'm thinking of, I'm thinking of something else.
The game. This was an extras late in the game when Bateman did it in game 3.
I'm thinking of Bateman sticking on a slider from a lefty, and I think it was Luzardo, and he hit a line drive single over the shortstop's head. And
good piece of hitting.
Good piece of hitting, but that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for, the ability to hit different types of pitches in different locations, not kind of a one-trick pony. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, and that's just a good bat to ball skills. That's something the Blue Jays really like. I really like the swing decisions from Brett Bateman. I find he was very good at taking the pitches outside of the zone, swinging at the pitches he knew he could do damage with. I use damage loosely, but it's a good plate approach. It's something that the Blue Jays have struggled with all season. So it's very refreshing to have a guy in the lineup who has actually made some very good swing decisions. So shout out to Brett Bateman for doing that.
Yeah, he looks focused. He looks comfortable. He's been playing the part, and that's all you can really ask of a guy in his first big league series. So
yeah, don't ruin him, Blue Jays. Don't get him to change his approach now.
Yeah, definitely not. Okay, so this was the José Soriano start, the much anticipated first Blue Jays appearance for José Soriano on Friday night in Philadelphia. It was fun against a really good team, tough team for a righty to go up against. It's Schwarber and it's Harper and all these lefties in this Phillies lineup, and he wasn't great. He was fine. He was good. And I promised that I wasn't going to take too much away from his first start. And I'm not going to. I think it's okay for him to have kind of one of these, he hadn't pitched in 10 or 12 days or something like that. And he started off really good. He was just getting just so much swing and miss early in counts. And then kind of was having a hard time putting guys away. Felt like his misses outside of the zone were a little bit uncompetitive. Wasn't really inducing a lot of chase because of how much he was out of the zone by. Led to a few deeper counts, especially as this game progressed. And I think it's obviously definitely going to be in there. A few adjustments, and he's going to be good.
Yeah, I agree. Overall, even though the line doesn't look as great, he had a few walks in there too, and he didn't pitch that deep into the game. I'm actually taking this as a positive from Jose Soriano. All that aside, he started this game just pounding the zone. And one of our biggest things with Jose Soriano as well, the walks might be an issue, and he's not going to be command. I think like 21 of his first 25 pitches were strikes in this game, which is absolutely incredible. 17 of 20 first pitch strikes for Jose Soriano in this start, which is not what we expected to see. And the Blue Jays too, Owen, really did make a change with his pitch mix coming into this game. We had talked after the trade that they might cut down the four-seam fastball, and boy, did they ever. He only threw it 12% of the time in this one and really ramped up that curveball, which if you look on Baseball Savant's new like pitch miss, like how much other players miss their pitches by, Jose Soriano's curveball is a top 10 pitch in all of baseball, and the Blue Jays really took advantage of that, throwing it 38% of the time. Now, he wasn't in the zone with it. It's hard to be in the zone with a curveball, but this is the recipe I think the Blue Jays have seen with Jose Soriano, and I feel like they're going to do that more going forward and should have good results because of it.
Yes, I agree. I think they should. If you have a pitch that is that good, I think you can rely on it. Even as a starting pitcher, you can use that pitch to your benefit a lot. I was surprised he only threw 4 splitters. I kind of expected the Blue Jays to kind of lean into that. You know, the Blue Jays love a splitter, and they did not really use it much, especially even against Harper Schwarber. You just did not see much of it. So that's another thing I think, like maybe it's not even an improvement, but you could see adjusted as things progress here and we see more of Jose Soriano. But I totally agree. I think a lot of positives to take. I think it's obviously got to be better than that. You want your guy to be more like he's got to get you through 5, if not 6 innings, right? So 4 2/3, not good enough. But other than that, only 1 earned run, only 3 strikeouts. Like I think it was good.
Yeah, and you did mention the long layoff coming into this too. I think that might have had something to do with it as well. The Phillies, tough squad, a lot of good hitters in that lineup. Probably trying to, put on a good showing for his new team. Could all have a lot to do with it. I'm excited to see what he does in his next start here against the Red Sox because I'm leaving quite encouraged from his start here.
Totally, man. Totally. I wish I had more thoughts on him. Like I was really excited to see it. It was probably one of the most excited I've been to sit down for a Jays game in a while, but like I don't have just a ton of thoughts because it was good. It wasn't ugly. Like there was nothing that I was like, this needs to change now. And there was nothing that I was like, this is perfect. Like I think it was a good, like get your feet wet. And I think it should be all uphill from here.
Yeah, if you want to look at fastball velocity for Jose Soriano, started out at as high as 97.5 in the second inning, did drop a little bit into the 5th with about 96 average fastball velocity for Jose Soriano, but that will play very much well for Jose Soriano. So I like that as well.
Yeah, man, he probably like settled into the game in a little bit, lost a little bit of that new team adrenaline. Like I'm not too worried about that at all.
Don't mean either. I'm going to give it a solid B for his debut here.
Yeah, no, it was totally fine. There was nothing about it that I was like, this is life-changing. There was also nothing about it that I was like, this is a problem. So yeah, good stuff. Second game of this series, Jays win 7-5 and 11. It's the Nathan Lukes home run. And I can't lie, down with 2 strikes, needed a hit to score the runner on third. I was like, in the 11th inning, I was like, this game's over. There's no way he's getting a hit. And that ball flew out of the ballpark, and I laughed. I cackled because it was just not a thing that was going to happen. It just was not on my list of possibilities coming into that at bat once Nathan Lukes had 2 strikes on him that he was going to hit a home run. And by God, he hit the home run, sets up Lazaro Estrada for his first big league save in the bottom half. Just an awesome baseball game. Felt like this is the type of game we saw the 2025 Blue Jays win like 100 times. They just never lost this baseball game. And this is why I started this episode by saying I recognize my baseball team.
Yeah, 3-2 pitch for Nathan Lukes too, running in on his hands and just pulled his hands. And honestly, I thought that ball might have been in the gap, maybe a one-hopper off the wall. It just kept going and going, and Nathan Lukes did it. He had his hands all over this series. 15 pitch at bat in game 1, great defense in game 3. He is the Blue Jays MVP here. But I see what you mean here, Owen, too. Lazaro Estrada coming in and getting the bottom half here for his first big league save. This to me is like when you move Jeff Hoffman, you move Spencer Miles and Braden Fisher up to higher leverage role, then you're relying on guys like Estrada and Brendan Little to pitch these leverage roles. And kudos to Estrada, who didn't do it in game 3, but was able to get it done here in game 2. Nicely done. That'll earn you some bonus points from your manager and probably keep you on the big league roster for a little bit longer. So shout out to him for getting the job done there.
Yeah, totally. Huge stuff. And I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. finally, just like a super encouraging and exciting day. 2 for 4 with the homer, and it was a single, right? Yeah, and a walk. 2 RBIs. Like, just what did you see from Vlad? I don't know if it's really anything, but he did hit a fastball for a homer in a hitter's count. And I think he got the barrel to the baseball in the inside half. And I think just thank goodness he did it.
Yeah, I mentioned the swing speed earlier on the single he hit, which was one of the hardest he's had in a long time. I had a quote from Vlad after he had a few rest days here, and he said, on Saturday, quote, "I can finally find my strength and my power." If we're nitpicking here on the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. home run, fastball was just 92 miles per hour from Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola gives up a lot of them, and it was off the plate inside. So not necessarily the best swing decision for Vlad, but the results are really the only thing that matter, and it was a home run. It was great to see.
But my issue with Vlad and his swing decisions isn't necessarily when he swings outside of the zone. He can still do damage and hit pitches outside of the zone hard. It's when he swings outside of the zone on a pitch he's not looking for, in a location he's not looking for. Clearly, he was looking for that fastball. I don't know if he was looking for it down and in like he got it or inside like he got it, but he was clearly on time for that pitch. And I think that is when it's okay for you to chase or swing outside of the zone. It's not a bad swing decision if it's something you're looking for. It's a bad swing decision if he was looking for that fastball inside and then he thought he got a fastball middle, but it ends up being a slider outside off the plate.
Right.
That's a bad swing decision. If you can hit a pitch hard enough and at a good enough launch angle to hit it for a home run, it is a good swing decision, regardless of where that pitch ended.
So I agree. But you get that pitch, say, 10 times, he hits it for a home run once. Most of the time, he's probably twisting it foul and whatnot. But I agree with the sentiment there, because we've seen a lot of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just flailing his arms at pitches. And, kudos. Took a good swing. Looked all right. 103.8 exit velocity off the bat, too, which is a positive sign. We know Vlad can get higher than that, but it had been a bit since we have seen it. So very encouraging to see here.
Yeah, you needed it. I think how can I not dream when Vlad is doing that? And that's part of the conversation why I wanted to lead off with, are the Blue Jays better than this American League wildcard team? Because like, if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is good, they probably are better than that American League wildcard team that you are thinking of right now. Yeah,
this team goes as far as Vlad carries them. And at least in this series, he was a key part to getting the Blue Jays a series win. Got to see more of it going forward.
Absolutely, my man. All right. Can we talk about how goddamn clutch Andrés Giménez is?
Is he still third in the team in RBIs? Like, he had 6 of them in this series alone. So absolutely. What was it? A double? Was it lefty on lefty too, if I remember, to bring in some runners late in that game? Like, that was incredible. Did not have that on my bingo card.
He is not third on the team in RBIs anymore because he's second. He is past Vladdy.
There you go.
He's past Vlad. He's one ahead. He's got 47. Vlad has 46. Andrés Giménez, he's still got a 79 weighted runs created plus. But I didn't pull up the clutch numbers. Maybe I can do it. But with runners in scoring position, Andrés Giménez this season, can I find it? Still just 86 weighted runs created plus. But that's like 6% better than his. That's better. He improved. And I know it's better if you pull up like the close and late stats or whatever it is. I didn't pull it up before talking about it. But like down like 0-2 with 2 outs in the 8th inning, you got runners on base, and like Andrés Giménez against a lefty, and he crushes a double and to tie up this baseball game. Like, are you serious, man? It's just, that is the type of stuff, again, that we just saw all the time from this team. And it feels like we've seen none of this season. And thank God he's doing it again.
Yeah, I don't know if clutch is actually real or not. That's a debate for another day. But if Fangraphs has a clutch stat, which takes a lot of stuff into consideration, Andrés Giménez was second on the team behind Dalton Varsho. But if you look at the current Blue Jays, best clutch hitter on the Toronto Blue Jays. So there you go, Andrés Giménez. And he put the proof to the pudding in this series.
Yeah, Fangraphs does like the high leverage thing. His weighted runs created plus and high leverage 107. Kaz 122, Vlad 125, Ernie Clement 127. Those are your qualified Blue Jays. I'm ignoring George Springer at -1.
Yes.
But but yeah. So I don't know how he does it. I think it just makes you like I don't know how he's not a good hitter. It's just when he focuses and like when he needs to, he
Mhm.
can somehow get the bat to the baseball. And I think it might just genuinely be a focus thing. Like, are you locked in at the plate when it doesn't matter as much, or is it just like when the game is closer, your approach is just something that's easier for you to stick to? I don't know. I'm not in his brain, obviously, so I have no idea. It's just pure speculation.
Yeah, but I think you might be onto something there too, because the swing is he's never going to be a bat speed or exit velocity monster, but he does have smooth mechanics and rhythm, and we've seen him like he's able to hit home runs on those pitches down and in, which means he can get enough to get barrel on the ball there. Like you can see the recipe for how Andrés Giménez could be a better hitter at the plate. I think like a lot of Toronto Blue Jays, it just comes down to making better swing decisions, because you could take that 77 WRC plus and you don't have to squint too hard to get it back to like the 93, 95 range, which would be much more respectable on the season.
Totally, man. All right. So like, I think we'll take this final break here. We're going to get to this final game of the series. We're going to preview the upcoming series, a little bit of a scary series if you're one of those people that still thinks that this season matters, like me. Not like Jesse. Jesse's not allowed to care about the Blue Jays anymore. He just has to expect them, and honestly, he has to cheer for them to lose so he can be right. You got 4 in Boston coming up, so big series as always, as they all are when you are in this spot. And then Jesse, is there anything else we want to get to after this break?
We got to cover game 3. Shout out to Max Scherzer, who had a good start there too. So I want to mention to that. And if I'm embracing the role of Blue Jays losing, give me that draft pick, baby. Let's go.
All righty. We'll talk on the other side. Alrighty, back for this final segment of this episode of the Blue Jays Center, or just the Jays Center podcast, not the Blue Jays Center podcast. False advertising on my end, but Jays lose a heartbreaker 7-6 in 12 innings. For all the magic that they kind of pulled out of their ass in the first 2 games of the series, they fell just a little bit short. It would have been just honestly a hilarious sweep if they were able to pull it off, but just a little bit short.
Yeah, you thought maybe the magic that they had that would continue here, and I thought for a second it was, but ultimately not able to score that zombie runner in the 10th or the 11th. Came back to bite them, and although Braden Fisher was really good at keeping them off base, shout out Nathan Lukes, great throw from right field to make that happen as well. You just knew you were tempting fate, and they weren't going to get it done here. I think the Blue Jays too just ran out of bullpen arms. I don't think John Schneider ever wanted to go back to Lazaro Estrada down in this game, but he was kind of forced to, and unfortunately, was able to give up the runs there and get them. But overall, I'm feeling kind of encouraged. Shane Bieber gave up a bunch of home runs early, but the Blue Jays, again, were showing their scrappiness, their resilience, were able to get back into that game there. It was a good recipe, and even though the Blue Jays didn't come out on top, I'm leaving that game feeling more encouraged about this team.
Totally. And that's part of the thing is like, you may not have won, but you did everything you needed to except for score that last run. And I think sometimes that's okay. I have no ill will to Lazaro Estrada for this one. Pitched all 3 games of the series. He threw a ton of pitches, just obviously on fumes. He was kind of on fumes like in the second game of the series, and you asked him to go pitch yet another inning in the 3rd game. Like obviously this is what's going to happen. Like the guy just did not have any gas left in the tank. So like that's okay, and that is totally fine. Again, didn't really love Brett Bateman in the leadoff spot, but he had 2 hits. I think, unfortunately, was it the 9th inning when you had 2 runners on against Duran, and you're turning over the lineup, Bateman's up with Vlad on deck, and you're asking him to bunt to get those guys into scoring position. And it was one of the saddest attempts at bunting I've seen in the big leagues in a long time. He bunted 1 foul, bunted through 1, and then struck out, and then it was obviously on Vlad hitting into the double play immediately after that, after Bateman couldn't get the bunt down, but Bateman gets that bunt down, a ground ball up the middle, scores you a run if you're the Blue Jays, or maybe Vlad can like change his focus a little bit and hit a fly ball. And didn't end up happening. You got to be better than that. Like this is the big leagues. You have to get your bunts down in that situation, even against a guy with probably better stuff than you've ever seen in your life. If this is your first, like your 3rd big league game, your first series in the big leagues, and you're facing Owen Duran, probably the toughest pitcher you've ever seen. But you still got to be better than that.
Yeah, shout out to Vlad, who's 16 grounded into double plays, is now 3rd in all of baseball. So there is that. But I agree with you in Bateman. Bunting should be exactly the type of thing that is in a player with the skill set that Brett Bateman has. That's got to be in there. And full caveat, Duran's nasty, swing and miss stuff. I get all that, but I agree. I had that same thought coming see that through, that Bateman's gotta do some work on that to be more of a complete hitter here. So add that on to something that they can work on here. Different scenario, different world. Jays execute, get that done. That's why I can't say they're all the way back, because like when the Blue Jays are firing on all cylinders, they do those little things right. But I will say they put themselves in a situation where it was possible, and that's not something the Blue Jays had done a lot of lately. So very encouraged there.
Yeah, and you did all that coming off a Shane Bieber start where he was brutal, was he not?
Yeah. Like, he pitched into the 6th, which is good. So maybe his line looks a little better than you think, but still 3 walks for him, 5 earned runs, 2 bombs to Kyle Schwarber, who hadn't hit a home run, like, I think since the home run derby. Maybe he had 1 since then. Like, it was tough for Shane Bieber here. And like, Max Scherzer had a good start in game 2, which we didn't really touch on. Shane Bieber was dreadful here. Like, I think I'm moving Max Scherzer ahead of Shane Bieber on my Blue Jays starting pitcher trust list, which is disgusting to say, but I feel like I'm there right now.
Well, how could you not be? Like, Bieber has a 7.24 xERA. He's got a 3.01 expected batting average. Those are both first percentile. And like, first is bad in percentiles. He is like really, really bad when it comes to that kind of stuff. He's not striking anybody out. He's walking a lot of people. He's giving up a ton of barrels, giving up a ton of hard contact. I don't know what you're really enjoying from him right now. Do you?
No, and I think at this point, like, there's nothing really the Blue Jays can do. If he's healthy, you're gonna probably roll him out there. But like, the Blue Jays aren't giving this guy a qualifying offer at this point in the season. I think they tried to trade him. No team was giving anything for Shane Bieber. It's just, I think you kind of just ride it out, or maybe he gets hurt again and then you can shut him down and get somebody else in there. But it's going to be hard, especially if you believe the Blue Jays can still make a run to one of these last playoff pushes, rolling Shane Bieber every 5th or 6th day out there to try to really put that going forward. You need to see something different from him and something different from him soon.
He's been rough, dude. I don't know. There's just not, and obviously it's Schwarber who banged him twice. Like, I get it. It's Kyle Schwarber. Like, I know he hasn't hit a home run in a long time, but he's got 35 this season now.
Yes.
Right. So he is Kyle Schwarber. He's one of the best left-handed power hitters in baseball against one of the slop tossiest righties in baseball. So if you kind of just sit down and think about that for half a second, it makes a lot of sense that he would get.
It was obvious. It was obvious it was going to happen from the get-go. Yeah.
But you still, just because it's obvious doesn't mean it's okay.
Yes, agreed. Look, the Phillies didn't throw one of these slop tossing guys at us. Maybe Aaron Nola, but like, there's none of these guys that you think you can absolutely tear up on and beat up on. And the Blue Jays have one of those guys in their rotation right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue. I think like the Phillies got beat with their guy on the mound, Zack Wheeler. You beat him. And is Aaron Nola not the Phillies equivalent of Shane Bieber, by the way?
Probably. I think I'd still rather take Aaron Nola over Shane Bieber, but
obviously.
If you're trying to make one comp, that would be as close as you get.
But yeah, that's kind of the point, is like you beat Wheeler and then they bounce back and have Luzardo Estrada Jesus Luzardo. I think I've done that before where I mix those guys up. Anyways, Jesus Luzardo coming out throwing 98 from the left side and like racking up 12 punches to just 1 walk across 7 innings. Like, dude was basically untouchable.
Yeah, very good pitching performance there. I'm glad the Blue Jays were able to actually ultimately look up and you see they've scored 6 on the scoreboard, which is not something the Blue Jays have done much this season. When we were talking about Andrés Giménez, I was listening to the game recap from the Phillies side, and the Phillies announcers made some comments about, boy, they hate this Andrés Giménez guy in Philly. And I was like, really? Andrés Giménez getting hate in Philly? I mean, he did have a big hit after that, so maybe there's that to it. But I did not think Andrés Giménez would be the one that draws the ire of Phillies fans. So that caught my attention from this series.
They were booing him pretty good, I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, hey, 6 RBIs. I'd boo anyone who came in and hit 6 RBIs against the Blue Jays. So I guess
he was crushing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have anything else in this series, Jesse?
I have a few things. Yes. Jays had 6 ABS overturns in game 3 of this series. They were 6 for 8 in ABS challenges. I like to see how aggressive the Blue Jays were with that. Ultimately, they ran out of it, but we haven't talked a lot about ABS through the second half of this season, but that caught my attention there. which I thought was pretty good. We also saw Matt Waldron in this series make his Blue Jays debut. He pitched a clean inning. He did walk one on 21 pitches. So I wanted to make sure we mentioned that as well. And Tyler Rogers, we talked about him in game 1, giving up some runs. He struggled again in game 3 of this series. I don't know if you saw anything different or if maybe the BABIP gods were just against him a little bit. But of those 3 points, the ABS and the other 2, any of those catch your attention?
The ABS, I think, obviously the Blue Jays are really good at this. I think like Alejandro Kirk, I looked up the net overturns for, which is like, that's basically how good are you at ABS is kind of the simple way to explain it. He's 4th in baseball among defensive catchers. So like, obviously he'd be really good at that. Like, no duh. So I think that is kind of something we kind of all expected. And it's nice to see some proof of concept there that he is actually quite good at that. Other than that, no, not really.
Okay. And then I have just some series thoughts. Like Kaz Okamoto, we talked about the play at first base. I don't know if I've liked what I've seen from Kaz at first base so far on the year for what it's worth, but also was 1 for 12 in this series, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and then Miles Straw, we talked earlier, 1 for 11. Have you seen anything from any of those 2 in this series?
Kaz is doing the Kaz thing again where he's super cooled off, and then he's gonna get super hot again, and we're gonna be like, can't believe anybody ever doubts him. Like, how you're an idiot if you ever doubt Kaz. But then, like, I get it because he goes through stretches like this, right? Like, I don't know. That's just who he is, man. He's gonna be a streaky hitter, and that's okay. It's okay to have streaky power hitters when you're kind of constructed the way the Blue Jays want to be constructed offensively on the offensive side of the baseball, with a bunch of guys who are designed to be the opposite of streaky and be consistent with that good plate approach and the put the ball in play and good team speed and consistent attack. And then when you have a guy mixed in there like Okamoto, who can get you with the homer at any time, even though he is sometimes going to go through stretches like this, it kind of makes your offense a more even, rounded out attack. And I think that's okay. So I'm not here to press the panic button. And the first base thing, yeah, I don't like the first base defense from him either. But you saw it with Bohm on the other side in this series.
Yeah.
Like, super clearly. Dude really, really struggled. The guy that's played mostly third base, a position that is harder than first base. But the angles are different. You have different responsibilities. It's just a bunch of times, like, it's just different instincts. And it's a bunch of plays that you just don't see. And it's hard to prepare for a lot of those plays at first base, especially in the middle of a season when you make that adjustment. So a long term, Okamoto's not a first baseman anyway, so I don't think I need to see pristine defense. Again, almost really, really, really burned you really, really bad in that with that Rogers play, and that would have been extremely frustrating. But Tyler Rogers knows where he has to be. He's a pro.
Yeah, shout out to Tyler Rogers. The footwork too with Kaz Okamoto could definitely use some work over at first base there as well. But I saw that there too. I bring that up because Josh Smith, really good series. Are you clamoring to see more Josh Smith, or are we just taking the good series he had and say thank you very much, back to the bench you go?
I'm not going to say I'm clamoring for it, but there's not a lot of guys in this roster that I am clamoring for to see. And I think he is a better hitter than he has shown when he is this season. And I think you can probably unlock just a little bit of that. So I wouldn't mind giving him a little bit of run and like seeing if this is a guy that you are going, you basically have to make the decision. Are you going to tender him a contract after this season? And I want to see you kind of like figure that out down the stretch here. Like, that is the point of the second half of the season.
And as long as he's performing and he's hitting well, if you've got a right-handed pitcher, which the Jays will see quite a few of in this next series, then you can do just that. Before we look into that Red Sox series, I just have 4 notes from some stuff down on the farm, Owen, and I'll list them off here quick. Tell me if any of those caught your attention. But Charles McAdoo has hit a home run in 4 straight games for the Buffalo Bisons down there. That caught my eye. Ty Southenstein, who hadn't hit a home run in 2 years in the Cubs organization, hits a home run in his 3rd game in the Blue Jays system. Blue Jays already working that power. Blue Jays clearly won the trade. And then 2 prospect promotions for some pretty big names in there. JoJo Parker is moving up from Dunedin. He is heading to Vancouver. It's good to see that for him. And Johnny King, just this morning, got promoted from Vancouver to New Hampshire. So we're starting to see him on the rise. Any of those 4 things catch your attention?
Well, I think it's curious that they're promoting Johnny King, even though he still walks the world. Like, if you just like stat line scout him, his walk rate is actually extremely concerning. So that's something you have to work on. You do have to fix that. If you're Johnny King, if he is going to be like forget even like a starter versus a reliever. If he's going to be a big league pitcher, he's got to walk less people. The JoJo Parker thing, dude, absolutely earned that promotion. He was tearing up low A pitching. Will be super exciting. I've got friends that work in that at the Nat at that Vancouver Canadians facility there. Super excited for them to get their eyes on him finally. And yeah, I don't know, the Charles Mackley thing. I've seen him at the big league level. I know what that is.
The Nat was sold out for his debut. I think it was yesterday or maybe it's tonight, but there are no more tickets available at the Nat for JoJo Parker's debut. So they are buying the hype down there in Vancouver, and rightly so.
That's sick. That's good, man. That's how minor league baseball should be. And it's good that the Jays have one in their system who, like, it kind of draws that kind of attention and that kind of hype.
I agree. And then while I'm at it, Dasan Hill made his Blue Jays debut. He also walked a few batters, but the fastball got up to 99. He struck out 3. Like, he looked quite good as well. The Blue Jays are going to monitor him.
How many walks?
I think it was 2 walks, maybe 3. I'll confirm that in a second. Okay. But, you know, the command was an issue. Bounced a few pitches. I know that as well. But you saw the upside. You saw the tools, which is basically what we were promised with Dasan Hill.
Yeah. And I actually read it's Dason Hill, like rhymes like Jason. Just so you know.
Okay.
Not to correct your pronunciation of the guy's name, but Dason Hill.
You should
interesting.
Absolutely be doing that. Yes. So, good to know.
I appreciate that. Well, while you look at that, I'm gonna get into this Red Sox series. Big series. Yes. 4 games in Toronto against the Red Sox. Speaking of clamoring for stuff to watch, the Blue Jays, Jameson Taillon making his second Blue Jays start, hopefully a little bit better in this one than he was against the Astros. He's going to go up against Sonny Gray. Dylan Cease against Patrick Sandoval in game 2. Jose Soriano gets Ranger Suarez, and then Max Scherzer gets Peyton Tolley. Peyton Tolley's last time out struck out a trillion hitters. I think it was like 14 Ks or something stupid like that. So tough. This Red Sox team is tough. I'm just going to be completely honest. This team is one of the teams that is better than you in the American League. They are. They have just played so much better than you. They rattled off 15 wins in a row, and then like they kind of lost that streak, played 500 baseball for like a week, and then they immediately won 9 in a row again. They're coming off 2 straight losses to the Athletics, so maybe you can catch them a little bit cold right now. I'm not sure if that's a real thing, but if you can somehow split this series, we can continue to just enjoy the rest of this season of Blue Jays baseball, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what you are hoping for coming into this series. For what it's worth, the Blue Jays got to Sonny Gray really good the last time they played him. That was the Dylan Cease complete game shutout. So the Blue Jays got to him. You can make the argument they can do that. Patrick Sandoval doesn't scare me at all. And oh yeah, that's Dylan Cease day. So you like your chances to find a win on that game. And just be scrappy, you know, put together some good at-bats against Ranger Suarez and Peyton Tolley. Maybe Jose Soriano or Max Scherzer can get you something good, and you can like strand some runners in scoring position and you can get a win. I'm not feeling as doom and gloom against a team that is clearly better than you coming into your barn right now. I actually am feeling somewhat good that the Blue Jays can at least get 2. I actually feel like Jameson Taillon, even though his first start was kind of mixed bag, the velocity was up. I like some of the things you see. His cutter looked pretty good. I like what the Blue Jays are doing under the hood, and I'm hoping for a better start here against a very tough offense in Boston, but I'm feeling optimistic about this series here.
Yeah, you might have to squint a little bit, but you can see it. You can see how this series could go well for the Blue Jays, even if you do have to squint. And I feel like just be the boxer that doesn't get knocked out. Kind of dance around the ring. Don't take that knockout blow. Get yours in, but mostly play a little bit of defense. Don't get hit hard. That's kind of my game plan, to do a little bit of a sports analogy there. Don't get knocked out.
Yeah, limit your walks and play good defense. The Blue Jays do that. I like their chances of putting stuff together this series.
That's the formula, man. All righty, Jesse, this has been fun, man. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, very fun 3-game series against the Phillies, and depending on what you say about that game in Chicago, you could say it's 4 straight series wins for this Blue Jays team. And hey, who knows? Maybe next time we get on there after this series against the Red Sox, I'll be feeling more optimistic about the Blue Jays playoff chances here too.
Oh, every episode from now on is just going to be which team is better than the Blue Jays. We're just going to go through the entire league, every single episode. Jesse, thank you so much for joining me, my man. I really enjoyed talking to you. And if you listening enjoyed, please give us a comment, like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Check Jesse and I out on social media, and check out the jcenter.com website. Tons of great articles. I'm working on an article this afternoon. Jesse's always got something doing well up there. And we're going to talk soon. All right.
Looking forward to it. Go Jays. Let's kick some Red Sox butt, shall we?